Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 276. Let's get to it. Man, this zero is real disappointing. I got a Shadows and Dust Zed. I've been really wanting to draft Shadows and Dust with the Shurima cards, but we got through pick six and didn't see didn't see any Shurima, so we had I just quit and started over. It's really unfortunate. There's so much with that Shadows and Dust pool between getting bonuses with ephemerals, like using Sand Soldiers to bring back Shark Chariots or using Sand Soldiers to boost Green Glade Duo. Just so many cool things you can do with those pools, and then you even have one of my favorite things with all of the Shurima vulnerable cards and Zed having quick attack. Just so much cool stuff you can do between those two pools. I had such high hopes for it, and then we just didn't have any Shurima cards show up. Real disaster. And so, at least starting up this one, we do have a Jarvan. This will be our first Jarvan video, so I'm glad to go ahead and dive in on this card pool. It's not a particularly good start. Jarvan kind of goes one of two ways. We can either try to pick up a Demacia champion and then go full elites, or we can look to pick up a Shurima champion and try to go into this challenger theme. But I guess we're kind of halfway there and living on a prayer with each of these cards. Starting with a challenger and with an elite. But anyways, let's take a moment and get him pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. This is where I keep all of my expedition-related content. We're just going to go to the little drop-down box thing here on the expedition helper, scroll our ways down to Jarvan, and take a peek at this card pool. And so, yeah, I think this is a pool. It pairs up with Renekton, and it gets a touch awkward here, right? Because there's two themes going on with Jarvan. There's the elites theme, which we can quickly talk about. If you're wanting to activate things like Penitent Squire, you need these elites. It does have a lot of the payoff in both Battlesmith and reinforcements. We're very familiar with how elites work from playing Darius all this, or not Darius, Garen all this time. We typically try to draft 2 reinforcements. We try to take as many battlesmiths as we can find. We take every Vanguard bannerman we can find, and then we do our best to keep our curve low. It's very easy to just kind of fill in with things like they don't live here, but like heavy infantry and all of these like 5 and 6 cost elites. It's very easy. To kind of fill in your top end as long as you have all the activators. And so, that's something we might have to pursue here. But on the challenger side of things, this is where all the what we would call the payoff is, right? So giving Honored Lord Challenger and getting a barrier attack. Excuse me, say like coming down here with Gallant Rider, giving it Challenger and flipping it into a cheaper heavy infantry. These are, where we would call the payoff as to where the Renekton side is where you have all the activators. And so out of Renekton, you're going to see where you at? All of the commons, the exhaust, the rockhopper, the ruthless predator. All of these are the ways that you're supposed to be giving things challenger. And then in the rare slot, we do have Makai Sand Spinner. They've been having a touch of issues with the Riot cards things loading up. It seems to be their problem and not mine, and it's kind of self-fixing itself if you came out here today and weren't able to get images to load. But nonetheless, back here to Jarvan. So the kind of the thing that's unfortunate with this is there are all of the payoff cards like Honored Lord, and the only way to really give these challenger from the Demacia side is with like Confront, which is trash, or with Larned Duelist, which is okay, and then down here with On Guard, but it's just a one-shot deal, and so ideally we would have this paired up with Shurima. But if we're not able to do that, it's pretty okay to just kind of backdoor this into a elites deck. And then, kind of the one thing I do like to call off with Jarvan is that, we don't really look to be drafting 3 of these. I'm going to be okay with it here just, for our Jarvan trial and just give you like the full experience. But in general, I look at this as a champion kind of like Darius as to where, we're okay with 1. 2 is kind of okay, but it gets very expensive having 3 6-cost champions in your deck, and so you typically just use them to kind of fill in with your curve. If we don't draft very many expensive cards, then we might push ourselves up to 3 Jarvans, but if we go through the trial and find a Gen VV and a Cythria and a heavy infantry and a couple of reinforcements, and our curve gets too high, then we're completely fine to just go and take like Lucians and Fioras as our champions as ways to keep our curve low. But, Jarvan it is. Let's take a peek at who shows up second. And of course, we do get the option for a a Shurima champion since he's paired with Shurima. And so, this is a very far from ideal champion pack with this Azir. We can pull him up and I could talk about all the problems. Wouldn't be upset about trying to mold this into one of these Super Friends decks that I talk about a little bit. If we just don't take any more Demacia cards and look to build around the champions, I'm not opposed to that. But as far as these other cards go, again, like not really interested in Gangplank. It's just I don't like playing Gangplank unless we have ways to play AoEs. And so if we're not going to have a way that we can take advantage of these powder kegs, I'm not really excited about it. So I prefer him to be paired up with Freylord. So he should be a good friend of Lysandra these days. If we're going to use powder keg, get paired up with something like Piltover. But there's no real direct damage coming out of Demacia. Then over here with LeBlanc, this could be interesting. I mean, there are a ton of big units in Demacia, but I think what we're going to find ourselves doing here is we're either going to, I'm going to take this Azir, and then I think we're quickly going to find ourselves going one of three ways. We're either going to go full in on this Challengers theme, where we're going to be kind of like a balanced deck. The problem with this theme is, if we take a peek at Azir, he doesn't have the cards that we're really looking for. He has the one Rockhopper, which is fine, but he doesn't have the Ruthless Predator. He doesn't have the exhausts. He doesn't have the Bakai that gives vulnerable. And so, we're going to have a lot of misses in our packs when they show up. And so, that's kind of idea number one. We're going to need a bit of luck throughout the trial to find these exhaust cards. Hopefully it's not that bad, even though we don't have Renekton in our deck. Kind of idea two is what I call kind of the Super Friends deck, as to where we're going to use like Rite of Callings and Golden Ambassadors to draw a bunch of champions. We're going to try to pick up some Nasus Strikes to give all of our champions +2/+2, and then we're just going to try to get all of these overstated champions on the board. If we do pursue this, Golden Ambassador is an allegiance unit, and so we do need to kind of stay away from Demacia as much as we can. But that's kind of idea number two that we could put together. And then number three, back to Jarvan, we will just fall back to elites, which isn't the worst. Penitent Squire is a really high value unit, and we've never really had trouble with elites being good. And so we'll have to kind of decide really quick, right? If we don't want to be in one of these spots where we're at like pick 6 and we have 9 Demacia cards and 9 Shurima cards, and then we're like, oh yeah, I want to be an allegiance deck. It's pretty tough to pivot at that point. So we need to try and come up with something really early in this trial to help us decide which way we're going to go. Okay, so here, I mean, this is doing good challenger things here. I love me a Rockhopper. If you've been around these days, I think Rockhopper is arguably the best unit out of the Shurima expansion. He's just incredibly powerful. And then Warchefs works well with this challenger theme. Hopefully you can give him a little bit of protection when you're out there challenging everything down. If we did want to go to that build around champions theme, we could take the Ascension. I'm not really a big fan of devoted councils, and so I'm pretty okay to just let these go. And then we don't want Ionia cards. And so, all right. So I mean, like at this point, I think this is probably kind of like our last chance to decide. Hey, are we going to do the challengers? Are we gonna try to do elites, or are we gonna try to do the super friends? And I think I'm okay with just deciding that we're going to be in challengers. The Silverwing Vanguard, pretty reasonable in that sense. It is an elite, so it can help us activate that 1-cost card that can give us some additional what's it called? The 1-cost card that gives us the challenger spell. So I think this will be okay. Not excited about Stony Suppressor, but this is fine. You could arguably come down here and take Stone Weaving and Preservarium, but I don't think our deck is going to be that control-y. The way we typically get value out of these sort of half elites deck is like Screeching Dragon coming down and getting a 3-for-1. Not so much just physically drawing cards. Okay, oh, super, there you go. If you ever needed a way to give all of your units Challenger, you can just do it with the Grand Plaza. Beautiful stuff. Does suck to have to pick up a Confront, but this just gives us so much raw power here. Super excited for that pickup. Okay, so how do we continue on here? I do believe I just want the Radiant Strike Egghead Researcher. It doesn't really play to our themes, but it does really help out our curve. And so when it comes to this, I would like to have a Golden Aegis. But I don't think it's like super important to be taking here. I'm more worried about having, a good deck. I think our deck is coming together reasonably well, especially since we picked up the Grand Plaza, and we don't need just like the raw power out of this right now. Do I want this? Yes, but do I think we need it right now? No. So Egghead Researcher also helps us from just having to put expensive cards into our deck. So interesting little set. I'm mainly interested in Rampaging Bakai, but I think, again, we're just going to take another Egghead Researcher, really shore up our top end here without having to put a lot of top into our deck, even though, we are picking up a Stalking Broodmother this way. I think this is still okay. And all right, these have been reasonably awkward. I'm afraid that the thing thinks we're trying to do some kind of dragon shit now since we took a dragon card. I can't remember how much of this was out of that like Vault of Crowns Thresh, but it's getting a little awkward here. But with this, I think we need to take the Exhaust. It plays to all of our themes. It's a pretty good removal spell. Vanguard First Blade, while not good in our deck, is an elite if some of these elites cards that we want will ever show up. And then, kind of the same deal here. Rockhopper's just too good. I would like to take the Challenger, but I can't pass on our boy Rockhopper. He's just so incredibly strong. Okay, reasonable set here. With these, I do want the Concerted Strike. I really don't like going through these trials without just having a kind of catch-all removal spell, and Concerted Strike is very good in that sense. And then, it tends to have some side combos in our decks. It does count towards... not on Jarvan. Some of these cards that strike get bonuses from Concerted Strike, not just with our Fury units, but I thought Jarvan might have been, but that's kind of backwards. All right. So here, continuing on with the Challenger's theme, I'm pretty okay with this. Having an early play with a Gallant Rider, I think we can quickly dismiss the Ambassador Sandcrafter, and so it's like, do we really want this Remembrance? Because I think arguably out of these 4 cards, Sharp Sight is the strongest one, but I think we're okay in that sense, right? We already have 2 Shapestones and a Radiant Strike. We have 3 ways to activate the Shapestone in our 2 Rockhoppers and our Grand Plaza. I think it's pretty reasonable to just go ahead and avoid this Sharp Sight and pick up the cheaper units. Oh boy, what up, Rockhopper? Such a hard time passing on this. I did have to stop myself to not just immediately click on it, but yeah, he's here. He's ready for battle. Okay, interesting set. Well, I thought it was interesting. That was not the card I thought it was. This is a pretty easy Siphoning Strike and Great Horn Companion. I can see the Siphoning Strike even being good here in the sense that, like, if we just play 2 Jarvans, the 1 Azir, and then we go and pick up, like, a Renekton, giving 3 champions this bonus is pretty good. Kind of the thing that we run into with these decks and the way we typically build them is, we ideally want 3 of 1 champion because that's what we're building around. We're trying to do things that work well with this Jarvan, and then Jarvan's going to be the ultimate payoff. But I do like that there's cards now like Siphoning Strike that give you a reason to just go wide on your champions. So, right, if we Siphoning Strike and have 3 copies of Jarvan, say we draw our second copy, then that just turns him into the spell. But, with the Siphoning Strike, he technically has the bonus, but we don't get to take advantage of it. To whereas if we're playing 3 or 4 champions, we have the opportunities to give these additional bonuses elsewhere. Okay, good stuff. This is more along the line of the Rampaging Bakai that I would like. Get all these Bloodthirsty Marauders with the Bakai looks pretty good to me. All right, our last one, very good. We can get rid of this Devoted Council. Our deck is just much too aggressive, much too combat-oriented to want to spend a turn playing a 1/6. And so Screeching Dragon, he's kind of our ideal top end here anyways. So pretty powerful pickup. All right, then we do need to go in here and turn something premium. I think we're running out of stuff already. I know we've done I think we've done Bloodthirsty Marauder. Pretty sure I know we've done Rockhopper. What are any of these other commons? Oh man, are we falling back to like Vanguard First Blade? I know Screeching Dragon's leveled up. Great Horn Companion or Vanguard First Blade? Vanguard. All right, it's going to be one of these elites, I think, but we'll double check on the Marauder just to be sure. I'm pretty sure I've leveled him up though. I think that was one of the first ones we did. I spelled that wrong. AU. Yep, we've got him. All right, so we're going to have to level up one of these elites. Who is it gonna be? I was thinking, either Silverwing Vanguard. Oh, the dragon that doesn't count. Yeah. All right. All right. Silverwing Vanguard or Vanguard First Blade. Man, we're really kind of getting to the dregs of it, but we're getting there. This puts 2 units on the board. You know, getting 2, uh, 2 premiums for the price of 1. Not a bad deal. And then we do have to change our loadout. I've been meaning to go and pick up a new board, and I thought I went and got the new board. Yeah, good stuff. And so, we can't switch out any of the guardians for the new ones because none of them are cats, and but we can at least switch out the card backs and the boards. So yeah, that's the easiest way to get my money now, Riot. You gotta you gotta make the guardians that are cats. Good little friends, little guys hanging out with you. Okay, some Jarvan and Kindred. Love playing against Kindred. Said no one ever. Actual no one said they love playing against Kindred. And so with this, let's just mulligan everything. We have so many good early game plays, we should be able to put together a reasonable curve. And that's more like it. Oh man, I got used to that Christmas board, and now this is playing all kinds of weird music. This is gonna take me a hot minute to get used to. But let's go ahead and add the Rockhopper. If he was going to play the cards that would really slaughter us, it was if he had like a Vile Feast really kind of slaughters us here. Just takes out everything. That was brutal. Brutal. The way I had that going was if he has a like a hapless aristocrat, then we would have been able to go ahead and deal with it. But oh man, that was a brutal Vile Feast. Don't care so much about that.
My board!
Okay. All right, and then we can deal with all of this. I do want to try to take down as much of his board as we can. We are going to have to go ahead and burn and exhaust, but ooh, even better. Well, maybe that was a mistake. He seems like a pretty reasonable unit, but here at the end of the day, I do want to full clear this guy's board. So this is, I don't know, we could have ended up with the 4/4 as opposed to the heavy infantry. Sure. This is good for us. Like these Kindred kill your own units kind of decks really need things on the board to sacrifice. So if he was, wanting to, activate a Blighted Caretaker or something, with this style of stage, he has to, sacrifice real units as opposed to his kind of, his cannon fodder.
Never one without the other.
Okay. We're too far away. So this is awkward, ultimately. He's going to hook. I think we just have to play the Suppressor. Then we can try to take Kindred down next turn, because he's going to get a Slay, right? He's going to Quinn Bird our Heged Researcher and get the Slay, so we wanted to take down the weaker unit. Alright, we'll at least have answers to Kindred, even though we spent our exhaust. I don't think we have to open Confront into this thing. If he has like a Vengeance, it just kind of sucks, but I would really like to get this Bakai online for the next turn. Oh boy, he's gonna have something. Yep. So bad. We're just so dead now. Yep. I hate to just sit around and bitch about this, but like at what stage has this game been reasonable, right? At what point was this like a fun and interactive game against Kindred? We have 2 ways to interact with him. We used one of them. He shut it down, fine, and now we just have like no way to deal with this other one. This is just it's not fun in the least. All right, let's see what we can do. We can try to hook him down. Let's see how this plays out. If we can just attack now and Jarvan will come down challenging it. And you attack, pay my cost. So just do it after we attack? Yeah, okay.
I will fight for Demacia till the day I die.
Yep. It's just... Okay. I don't know. These are just like the most not fun cards to ever play against. Like, really, it's really ridiculous that this exists as a card. All right, well, let's see if we can recover from 3 2-for-1s. Absurd.
Fierce and fashionable, no?
So it's kind of interesting. I think I'm good to just... Well, let's pass, see what he does. I think I'm actually okay with this if he just passes and doesn't attack. But we can recover... I want to say bigly here. We can recover bigly with this. Let's be efficient with our mana. And we're going to try to get things going with the Broodmother. Sure. Okay, okay. Perhaps we've recovered. Don't need to kill any of this just yet with the Bakai.
Demacians, fight for your king!
How bad is this ever? If he has like a riposte, it kind of sucks, but...
Face a prince. Ours is but to do and die.
Sure. Okay, so, I mean, if we can get the Bakai down next turn, we should be okay. I mean, maybe it was a little greedy just to take all of that damage on the previous turn, but I didn't want to risk our units. And I think we just have to block his bigs here. Yeah, it's going to take us to 1. Out of a combat trick, but...
Where you go, I go. The Vanguard will have to follow.
I think we need to go ahead and take this one down. I want to get like our unit on board, but I'm ultimately worried about him playing like that rally barrier card. Sure. So I mean, we could have played that different. We could have perhaps recovered, but I think that was reasonably okay. Like the problem we run into there is. If we get, you know, our big unit into combat and he just takes it down on a block, it's just so brutal for us. I mean, I guess we're kind of in the same spot next turn on our attack anyways, but so painful. All right, well here, I don't want the Confront. It played reasonably well here, but back-to-back is still pretty reasonable in our deck. I think this is going to be good, not very frequently. Oh gosh, no. Okay. Oh gosh, what? Play. What are you doing? What's happening? Play. There we go. Alright. I know I get salty about these Kindreds. It's just not fun. This is like playing against the Grand Plaza, but worse. Like, I think there was at least like interactive elements to the Grand Plaza that you could recover from, but there's just like so many decks to where, you know, you're playing against Kindred, you have one shot to take him down, and then if your one shot fails, then, you know, it's just over. And, it's just supremely unfun to play against. I still stand by like my belief. I'll have to post it on Twitter and see if it gets any traction with the devs. But it feels like, you know, my thought and belief for what happened with Kindred is he's probably fine in constructed. I don't play a whole lot of constructed, so I don't know, you know, like the details of the, you know, the mass player meta, you know, kind of like the middling players and then the top level player strategies. It doesn't seem like Kindred is really an issue in constructed. And I just have this like ultimate feeling that, you know, I don't think we want to open here. It's still tough for him to play a better unit when we have the Roiling Sands on the board.
Behold our fury.
But no, I just imagine that like some dev, you know, saw this and was like, "Oh, this is what we have to put in Expedition." You know, someone in we're too far in. We can still do this, right? We can control his board pretty easily. We can play Silverwing Vanguard on his turn, get a huge blast of damage in here. Good chance we've got a lethal coming up real soon. But no, like, what I envision is just that they, you know, they showed it to him and were like, you have to deal with this now. This is your problem. And, you know, the devs were like, man, you know, we think this card is a little too good for Expedition. And then, you know, some guy from marketing comes down and is like, "Nah, man, people love Kindred. He's gonna make us so much money. You gotta you gotta put him out there." And they're just like, ugh. But here, I think the companion is okay now. I mean, he's threatening good attacks on both of these. I was considering playing the Silverwing Vanguard, which does something similar, but I think this is good. So if he has like his big play here would be like a Fury of the North, which seems likely. Harsh Winds, sure. Still just leaves us in a pretty good spot to take down this other Starlit Seer. These Silverwing Vanguards are very good on his turn. And then I think this is still pretty reasonable. We have a lot of good things going on here. Looking to get a Siphoning Strike this turn. Like if he plays I don't know, Avarosian Hearthguard or something here, that would be pretty good for us. The big worry I have with these Siphoning Strikes against Freylord decks is, you know, we're about to invest, you know, 5 mana in trying to strike this thing down. If he follows up with a, you know, one of these 1 mana combat tricks and basically counterspells our 5 mana spell for 1 mana, so brutal. But I think this guy's just kind of like super far behind now, and we're gonna take this down.
Fly away while you can.
Harsh Winds number 2. Okay. That does 1 damage to everything. So if need be, we can ideally still just kill him with this Great Horn Companion. We'd love to see him just spend 7 mana on a do-nothing unit here. I have to play the Vanguard. I don't think he's going to have an additional unit, which kind of sucks. In the event, you know, we would love to just take down this Renekton, but like the way that game flowed, it felt like he wasn't going to have another unit, but it's ultra risky there if he actually does drop something on the board. Okay, so like with this set, I do still kind of have this ideal that, you know, we can just play 1 Jarvan, 1 Azir, 1 Renekton, and then, you know, maybe pick up a second Jarvan along the way. And we really play to this theme here, picking up the second Siphoning Strike on the Lauren Duelist, and I'm completely on board with this plan. And so, you know, ideally we'll be able to pick up a second Jarvan in the future, but with this double Siphoning Strikes, I'm pretty happy with how this idea is going to play out. I guess, technically we'd ideally pick up a second Renekton. Like, again, Jarvan's just so expensive. He's very powerful, don't get me wrong, he's just very expensive. Okay, Landmarks Part 2. Yeah, I mean, it's like to continue on with my kindred related rants. When we take a look at this Talia pool, I know I talked about it in the previous video, maybe in the recap section, maybe in the rewards, I don't remember. But they released some of these landmarks that don't exist in Expedition right now. Like one of them being like the one cost landmark with like countdown 1 that makes a 2/2. Very surprising to me that that's not out here. Here with this, I'm just going to follow up the researcher. I think it's too easy to run into problems if we put in a second Marauder. But no, so it's like they've clearly left cards out of Expedition that are in the new set, which I'm on board with. I can get behind that ideal. But why are you leaving out these landmark cards, but including Kindred? Just get him out of here. Making cost 9 mana in Expedition or something. It's too much. Make him a 2/2, make him cost 8 mana. There's too much going on for the price. Alright, bro, you gonna play your Rockhopper? Is that what's gonna happen here?
Can see the Demacian border from here.
Do we want the suppressor? Does he ever play spells here? We're not gonna play spells for a while, so I think this is probably okay. Turn off his brittle steels or whatever. Oh man, I forgot this is supposed to be an interactive board. I gotta go and click on stuff. This is what my life amounts to, man. I gotta click on these things. Now you can click on the kitty. Maybe it's just a rare board, so it has sounds and it doesn't have clickable things. It doesn't have clickable things on the board down here. Come on, you can't even click the lily pads? Come on, game. That must be an epic feature. Okay. So, I mean, we'll have this Prismatic Barrier next turn. I don't think we'll want to play it, but it is an option.
Oh, glorious battle!
Look out for Reavers.
Okay. We're gonna have to start getting our big boys online.
If they're out there,
Sure.
I'll spot them.
Talia Lysandra. Omen Hawk, okay. Uh-oh. He's about to deploy some big boys. You gotta take over this board fast. Okay. This is not particularly ideal, not gonna lie. Okay. I think this is it. We can hook down his Tavern Keeper. If we play something better, we can hook that down. We still have reasonable attacks with everything else into this board. I just have a bad feeling we're gonna just end up in this spot to where we just end up having to hook the Tavern Keeper and being done with the turn.
I'll follow where I can.
Okay. Sure. Alright, so yeah, I mean, I am worried about these upcoming, like, +2/+2 units, but otherwise I think we're looking pretty reasonable here. Get our big boy down. He has, if we need to actually kill something, we do have the Siphoning Strike, which will, fury our Screeching Dragon and make all of our units big. So, I mean, we got some reasonable combos going on. Two damage to everything. Trying to think how we feel about this. I kind of want a Siphoning Strike his 3/3. These are very scary against Freylord, but if we're able to come into the next turn with him having an empty board, us having 2 units, and then starting with the Screeching Broodmother and our Prismatic Barrier, I think this is probably pretty reasonably okay. It's probably fine to lose this guy as well.
What is this? Alert the village!
Okay. Here's my big problem with Frozen Thrall. If you play it on the first turn, then kind of whatever. But not having this thing online until where we at, like turn 8, and you can have your unit come out on turn 15 or whatever. Nope.
I was not shown mercy. I will not grant it.
I don't think I'm really on board with that happening. Okay. A pretty potent board together next turn. All the rock hoppers. Love me a rock hopper, it's so good. Okay, you gonna flip? Nowhere near it.
Buys me a new sail.
This is fine. Let's see how he interacts with this. I think we can probably get away with not adding more units, but I mean, this is so neat for us. If he wants to add, units to the board, it's just something that's now going to get hooked by the Stalking Broodmother.
Sun's beneath me and winds behind me.
Okay. So cool. Now it's like he has to add units to the board, and those units are going to get hit by Roiling Sands. Otherwise he's just going to lose. So pretty good spot to be in. Can't get enough out of Rockhopper. He's far and away one of my best bros and friends.
No time to form up. Ride.
I think we want to keep adding to the board. There are arguments to just go ahead and run everything in here since he's at so low, but we're pretty, not safe. We're not out of Harsh Winds range. If he has a Harsh Winds here, he can get a value block, turn off 2 of our biggest units, and then, only take a 3 hit. So I'd like to get everything on the board here, make him at least invest in this board. Cool. So let's see. I'm cool to get rid of Stony Suppressors, but I don't really want to push our curve up a whole lot. And then the thing with these Vanguard First Blades is if we had the 1-cost 2/2 that puts the the Challenger spell in your hand, then we have to keep some amount of Challengers, but we don't have any of those. We haven't seen any this entire trial, and so I don't really want to count on these things ever making an appearance. But just in case, like, what's our elite count at? I bet it's super low. We have 1 in the Rider, 2 in the Vanguard, 3, 4 in the First Blades, and then Jarvan's going to be the last one at 5. And so I think we're pretty safe to just get rid of these things and count on getting our challenges from exhausts and our rock hoppers and the like. Kind of want to get rid of Stony Suppressor, but I would think I would rather trade a 4 for a 5 as opposed to trading a 2 for a 5. Keep our curve kind of low. I think that's fine. Hell yeah, I was hoping we could play against Kindred again. I gotta let the salt get out of me. Gotta let it stop flowing. Okay.
Glory for Renekton!
Sure.
For glorious battle!
Sands beneath me and winds behind me.
I think we just want to play our bad unit here.
Dragons such
He can full clear our board, but like an open rock hopper next turn is still very good. And kind of the ideal with this is maybe we can trade our 2s up into his 3s to where he's trading his 2s for our 2s, maybe get a little bit of mana advantage. It's unfortunate we don't have a second Marauder or any 1-drop here to take advantage of, but nonetheless, it's okay. Sure.
Bask in the sunlight.
In your 3-faction deck, come on, bro. What do you expect? Don't be making faces.
The more we learn, the less we fear.
Let's hear it!
Okay.
My board!
Do we? No, we want. I think we want a rock hopper.
If it's made of sand.
So if he wants to play a Kindred, it's at least gonna have vulnerable.
Oh, they might. I have the scars to prove it.
That egg. Did it move?
I go!
Okay.
Look upon me.
A card. Another sapling toss. Sure. Alright, I hope we're reasonably enough ahead when this Kindred inevitably comes down. We'll at least have like 1 sacrificial unit here. And then we got this pretty reasonable spot of having a Jarvan open next on our next attack. I think we just go and ignore this, right? So what's our turn? We can either add Envolus Vox, or we can add Renekton Warchefs. I think I want to get Renekton Warchefs down. This is kind of dangerous to do it this way if he has an exhaust. But otherwise, I think this is okay. All right, good deal. My idea with this was we can put down a Warchef's, attack with it on the right, and then our Jarvan can come down as a 6-attack attacker and then take down his Alpha Wild Claw. That's kind of the idea that we're piecing together here. And then we still have an exhaust for some kind of Renekton hook. He came in and initially hooked our Screeching Dragon, but then switched to Renekton. Interesting.
Smell that? A fight's a cooking.
Follow the tracks. No mercy, no retreat.
Oh, you need to be down here.
Batter him!
Like this, right? Check the old Oracle Eye. I don't think we can lethal this turn. I guess we should have kind of stopped to think about that, but
Words make a ruler, but actions make history.
Eat up, friend!
sure. Okay. You did your best, Jarvan. I felt like he probably had like a 1 damage ability since his initial play was to want to hook the dragon with his sapling. It seemed like, you know, he had a Withering Wail or a Vile Feast or something, but yeah, not surprised to see it happen that way. I didn't have, you know, high expectations for Jarvan, so that was pretty okay there. Well, all of these predict cards not an expedition as well. I was glad to see that. This is why, you know, every time you play it to predict and you have to sit there and stop and think for 10 to 15 seconds, it adds up and it's really annoying. So I was glad to see the predicts not make it to expedition except for this guy, whatever this is, Psy Scout. Sure. Alright, is there a way that we get like an open kill here? We probably just need to Bakai down this. Because this is going to hook our dragon. Oh, this is going to hook Renekton. Oops, I think we're still okay. Do anything? Yeah. He plays well with our scout units. Our scouts are good here. He doesn't have an answer to the Great Horn Companion right now.
Men die, but Sharima lives forever.
Alright, so yeah. I'm not opposed to picking up a 4th champion with our 2 Siphoning Strike deck. I was imagining, you know, that we'd be able to, with that kind of Super Friends deck, I think, you know, we're not going to super pursue that. We could. I mean, if whoever we have shows up here, then we can go for it. But, oh man, we're showing King Jarvan. Okay. The thing with King Jarvan is I really just want to have 1 copy of actual Jarvan with him, I think. Not 100% sure with that, since, you know, that comes into playability once him into play. But I think these are too good to pass up. I ideally would be taking these Renektons, but with the King Jarvan here, just so much good top end. These things they just come down and win the game, right? I mean, if you're ever able to give your entire team Scout Challenger, then, while you have Jarvan and now you have a 3/7 tough, you've probably just won the game. Okay, this is kind of scary. You have the Stony Suppressor Exhaust combo. Let's get rid of that. Just look for some early plays. Could be okay with the Researcher Suppressor. They're not super ideal. They're good against the 1-drops, but they fall off kind of quickly. Nice, nice. Should probably hang on to the suppressor for a turn since we do have this Shapestone in our hand. Okay. Not ideal. Much, much awkward.
What is this?
Something like this, just go ahead and prevent the 5. We're never going to hook anything with the suppressor. The ship is sailed on the units where he's good. Right? He didn't play any like 2/1s.
Their bones will litter the desert.
There's an argument to open there, but we have exhaust in our hand, so we might get a good exhaustible unit here.
Heart and blade.
Got a good exhaustible unit, just can't exhaust it and kill it. Okay, well we have Siphoning Strike in our hand. Not opposed to the Siphoning Strike down through one of these, well, I guess this Trifarian now, and then trying to get a big Jarvan next turn. Okay. Lots of ways for this to go wrong. I actually don't care if this hooks anything. Let's just take his big unit down. If he has a Sharpened Resolve, this is extremely, extremely bad. But otherwise, this is okay. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. This was ultimately a pretty scary play, but we're so far behind.
For the Empire. Leva and
And, we're dead, right? We can't get a Jarvan challenge down next turn because we're not. Oh, technically we can.
Remember me.
Really wish this could kill something. Alright, this one's done. Just a little too awkward. Not have our good interactive units there. If we'd picked up like our Rockhoppers and our Bloodthirsty Marauders, it would have been okay. These Stony Suppressors just weren't enough in the early game there. So with these, you know, we're never hitting an Allegiance, so we can skip over that. I don't think Inspired Marshal will play well here. I think, and then our top end is good. I mean, look at this. We got 2 Dragons, a Bakai, 2 Great Horns, and then Jarvan and Jarvan. So I think, you know, we don't need expensive cards here. I'm not opposed to getting rid of Vanguard First Blade, though. We just don't have any combos with this thing. I'm never, like, super excited to have 2 back-to-backs in my deck unless I'm playing with a Lux, but it's just a, you know, like the turn forward, just, the dude's so awkward. I'm not a huge fan of him. It's like I'd rather just have the 4/4 that flips into heavy infantry like 80% of the time. It's so rare for that First Blade to ever become a 6/6. And then he's just so bad if you have to like play him on your opponent's turn and try to block with it. So this is okay. Wanted to, you know, there's an argument to hang on to these shaped stones, but I'd really like to find, you know, another 1-drop or a Rockhopper or something that can come down and interact. I feel like our unit should be big enough to tango in combat against Piltover Shadow Isles. Okay, let's let this just pass. Once we have the shaped stone mana built up, it's not as bad. You know, there is the point of, you know, kind of just trading 1 mana for 1 mana. Oh, this is fine. But,
Glory for Renekton!
join the hunters.
going here, okay.
Finally, some action.
I don't think we have a choice. I mean, arguably we should have killed it, or tried to have killed it in the sense that, you know, he is playing Callista, and he probably has ways to try to get some sacrifice themes. That's kind of one of his activators, but... Alright, this is fine. Just keep our presence. We don't have anything to do. We need to at least not let... Like, if we don't draw a play next turn and it's just pass and bank mana, it's so bad if we can't take this Butcher off the board.
For glorious battle!
Yeah, we can't do anything about that death ray. These are fine, right? It's not like he's with Death Ray. It's a lost card, right? It's not like, you know, he played the same card twice, but it's not a matter of
Don't blink.
Is that okay? So we have to let Ezreal hit.
That's gotta hurt.
That's a fine hit. Let's actually add the riders. Like, our intent next turn is to Silverwing Vanguard down both of his units, but it doesn't feel safe to just run them out here when he has the Mystic Shot. Beautiful. Okay.
Firing.
Look at that. This is premium. This is our first. Is this our first premium go with the Silverwing Vanguard? So it's got to perform, right? All right. Well, it'll perform well enough. Take care of this Ezreal.
To the field.
I'm okay to just go ahead and trade here. He can get an open 5 on us, which is kind of scary against Piltover. There's just like so many ways for them to just deal with a 1-attack unit that I'd like to just go ahead and get him off the board. Okay.
I can't hear you.
Lastinat Rame buys me a new sail.
Violence, chaos, and destruction.
Sure. Alright, let's see what we can get going here. This Azir's real close to flipping. What do we think about just passing here, right? He's not gonna play anything because we're gonna attack and he's gonna block with the Chempunk Shredder. I think it's okay just to pass here. No, we're much stronger.
We each die.
Too slow, stupid.
Okay. Attacks aren't super scary.
Out of my way.
Why did that Shape Stone only give us +1/+1 after we'd already Rock Toppered?
Charge.
Okay.
Oh dear.
No one can't stop me.
Men die, but Sharima lives forever. This curse and life is
Alrighty, let's see where this gets us. We have at least a pretty good open now. We have a way to answer this Ezreal. Pretty powerful board. I do, worry about getting burnt out from these spots, but our health is pretty high. Don't mind if I do. Get that Sand Soldier action in here. Good stuff. Uh-oh. Gonna beam our Azir. I'm okay with it. Uh-oh, more stuff. Mystic Shot and a beam. Double gotcha. What you doing? Okay. So that'll flip his Ezreal.
They don't know what they're up
We
against.
can still take him down. We'll need to send this Azir in. I'm too worried about the Bakai getting hit with a Mystic Shot.
calls.
Right? Right.
Your emperor commands. Glorious sacrifice.
Alright, well, we have 2 cards. He has 2 cards, but ours are on the board. So hopefully that'll be enough to get us there. Ooh, back to back. Oh no. That's a good one. Not gonna lie. That's a pretty good end to Ezreal. Yep.
I don't miss.
Alright, boys, that's scary. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, that's a scary one. Goes for our units. Okay.
Firing.
Guess that makes sense with the Ezreal. It's gonna go. Well, it's one less damage if you do it that way.
The soul wears away like grains of sand.
We ever lethal here? Like if he just doesn't play a unit, we hit for 6. Okay, okay. How much would that be? 6? 2 from the Sand Soldier, 3 from the Sand Soldier, 9? I think it might have been close.
Civilizations always rise and fall.
Alright, well, it came together reasonably, I should say. Let me get this pulled up in Elewar Guardian. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the idea that's going on with these. What am I looking for here? Expedition. This one. Oh no, that's the. Oh, I gotta push the continue button. That's what'll make it come up. But cool. And so yeah, like you know, the idea here, of course, is the you know what I call is the kind of activator, kind of the engine, is the Shurima side of things. We're gonna see the exhaust, the rock hoppers, the ruthless predators that we didn't pick up here, and then the we did finish up with one Bakai Sand Spinner. So that's a way to just kind of give everything Challenger. And then I don't recommend playing the Demacia Challenger cards. Like, playing one On Guard is fine. You don't want to be playing Confront. You don't really want to be playing Lauren Duelist. Just the Demacia ways of giving Challenger aren't that great. But all of the payoff does live in Demacia, and so that's where we're going to find our... we didn't we didn't actually run into too many of them here, but like the 2/3 for 2 that gets Barrier, like the Jarvan himself, that's where like a lot of this payoff actually is. And so you're trying to get just a good mix of the two. And so, you know, I like that the options that we started out here with this deck, I think it's very important to realize, okay, I can end up in this deck or this deck or this deck. Even if it's just a matter of, you know, either have to like fully build around champion A or fully build around champion B. I think it's important at the beginning knowing what you kind of want your decks to look like, or, you know, depending on what shows up in the first couple of picks, how you can pivot or chase after. And so in this, you know, we mentioned kind of the Super Friends deck. It came together to, you know, a degree here. I wouldn't say that we went all in on it, but the deck that we, you know, we immediately discarded was this Azir Super Friends deck, to where we're going to be looking for NASA Strikes. I'll call it the right name at some point in time. We're looking for Siphoning Strikes, and then the cards to draw champions, and then play either 3 or 4 different champions. That's kind of deck 1 that we knew was a thing. It needs to be a Shurima Allegiance deck. Immediately kind of discarded it. You know, thing number 2 that we called out was you can make this elites build around. Elites aren't just Garen. We can do it with Jarvan as well. With that, you kind of want to be a Demacia Allegiance deck, so Vanguard Bannerman starts showing up. That was kind of deck 2. And then deck 3 was, you know, just this Challengers theme, you know, between using the Demacia payoff and then the Shurima activators to get together, you know, a really strong Challenger-focused deck. Which is, you know, pretty general, pretty good. As far as things go, you know, we still have a lot of bad cards in our deck, a lot of things that we don't really want to that theme. Like if we take a quick peek, we don't really want Egghead Researchers. We definitely don't want Stony Suppressors. We have a lot of these middling cards that we just don't want, like Lauren Duelist. And then our curve got a little bit too high. We would prefer this to be much more on the aggressive side of things. Maybe if we're able to pick up some of the scouts, like... the Barrier Scout, or the Scout that makes Loyal Badger Bears, or if we just had some units that can survive a challenge. So if, you know, so we play Rockhopper on turn 2, our opponent's unit gets vulnerable, and then we play Loyal Badger Bear. And Loyal Badger Bear can take down pretty much any 3-drop in the game. And so, you know, kind of looking for ideas like that, just having a little bit more meat in the middle of our curve to take full advantage of these challenges. It's kind of what we're missing here. But, you know, in general, I think this came together pretty reasonably well. And we just didn't miss out on too much. It's the thing that I'm curious about with this trial, and what, you know, seemed to make things go awkward, where I think, you know, we took this Silverwing Vanguard Stony Suppressor, but I think that was a Vault of Crowns pack, and then I think we took a second Vault of Crowns pack here with this Confront Grand Plaza, and then I think we took a... it started to think that we were doing dragon stuff with these 2 Egghead Researchers and Stalking Broodmother, and so I think we've kind of run into this problem a bit, to where... we were getting packs to show up that we didn't really want to be seeing. We're wanting to see the Challenger packs. We're wanting to see like Demacian Steel show up. We want to see the Nasus packs. And it seemed like a lot of our picks were showing up out of Vault of Crowns and showing up out of Dragon's Descent. And so I think we probably messed up a little bit something in there, but it's so tough to know if you're going to be doing that. I know I've kind of like touched on that into some recent trials. We touched on it extensively in our most recent like Trundle trial, where we drafted Trundle and Aurelion Soul. We took a bunch of Freljord cards in the beginning and then just never saw an Invoke card throughout the entire trial. And we kind of think we, pushed the algorithm too much towards Trundle and too far away from Aurelion Soul. And so, kind of the idea being we want two Targon packs to show up and one Freljord pack, and then we were just seeing like 2 and 3 Freljord packs every pick. And so I think we saw a touch of that here. I mean, I've never done like a full analysis on it, but I do know that we saw a lot of, Vault of Crowns and a lot of Dragon's Descent, and those are just packs that we don't want. And so I think that is, arguably what our biggest mistake was with this deck. But, if you're drafting this on your own, I would like to speak to the Challengers deck in general. The big thing that you're looking for here, it's a little easier to see on the site, is in Nasus, or not Nasus, I'm sorry, in Renekton. I can never remember Renekton's name. Like, even for like one of the hot minutes I played in League of Legends, I did play quite a bit of Renekton. But the big cards we're looking for here are, to a lesser degree, Bloodthirsty Marauder, but Exhaust, Rockhopper, and Ruthless Predator. This is like the core of all of these Challengers decks, and in large part, what's probably going to be the core of any Shurima deck that you draft. You need to really recognize these cards existing in Renekton, existing in Nasus. Extremely powerful in Expedition. I still think Rockhopper is arguably the best unit out of the Shurima set. Exhaust, very powerful removal spell. And so, these really build the core of the deck. And then if you switch back over to the Jarvan side, that's where we're going to get some of the payoff. And so, when I was kind of talking about one of the problems that we had with this deck here is, we just couldn't get a good challenge because we had, our board was that like dragon generator. What we're really looking for here is having something like Honored Lord, where, you can challenge down your opponent's big unit and not lose it. Go out there and just start building up a board. Things like Gallant Rider allow you to do the same thing. And so I think that's, kind of where our deck fell apart. I think we were good on the vulnerable side. We were good on the top end, even having a little bit too much. I think that we really fell apart having these kind of middling units that can challenge down a unit and survive. And, that is kind of what what Jarvan says and what Jarvan wants to see. I've seen allies survive strikes from enemy blockers, but that's not what we're really trying to pull off here. We're not really trying to pull off the Jarvan flip. That's just kind of good strategy, and I think we fell short on finding that part of our strategy here. And so, maybe we should have gone out of our way to get 2 Renektons instead of 2 Jarvans. Ignored the King Jarvan III. Ideally we would have kind of stayed away from some of those dragon generators, and then I think ideally we would have just found a bit more of that meat in the middle of the curve. I know we passed on that Barrier Scout, but ideally we'd have found Barrier Scout, Loyal Badger Bear, an additional Renekton, things like who were you called? I can't remember his name yet. Honored Lord, found things like Gallant Rider. I think that's where our deck was really lacking. And so, drafting this on your own, I think that's probably the thing to take into consideration is, A point 1, point 1A, point A1. Do, make sure that you go out there and pick up that vulnerable package. Make sure that you get the bottom end of that Shurima curve. And then thing number 2 is try to pick up some, meaty or mid-range units that can go out there and survive a Challenger combat. But nonetheless, I think that'll do it for us today. I think there's a touch of rewards to click on over here. I know that was the end of our trial since I threw away that Shadows and Dust trial. But I think there might be something on the reward road or on the event pass as well. What is this? Free. What's that, an icon? Get some kind of Jarvan icon. Well, we're still using Astute Academic. We're never getting rid of that guy, that girl, I should say. So that one is that. Looks like we've got a little loot box here. All of our cards are already prismatic. I don't know why we would ever need to pick up more of these. Okay, this feels like a pretty easy Vanguard Sergeant, right? He's a unit, so he comes down on the board. He isn't trash like Beddenstoke Henchman, and then he also puts a generated card into your hand. Just everything we're looking for out of a nice loot box, and so glad to go ahead and pick that up. But yeah, that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all enjoyed the trial and overcame some of your challenges. Nice, nice. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.